this computer. Hi, my name is Renee Hobbs, and welcome to Com 416 Propaganda. Today's date is Tuesday, January 29th, and this is our first time at the in our new time period, and I'm happy about this because because it's kind of convenient to have a class at night, but I'm also like tired, so I think I'll probably take a couple of classes before I figure out how to adjust my energy level. But I see on the call with me tonight, I see Anthony, Anna, Hannah, I see Olivia, and I see Lauren. Welcome. And if you're not participating live and you're watching this recording, you've probably already found how to find the video recording. I'm going to demonstrate that for you right now, and then you'll take a look after this class. I'll put the video recording, and then I'll indicate some activities that you can do to get class participation credit today. You can see we're at the Com 416 Propaganda website. That's propaganda2019.com. Our topic for tonight is defining propaganda. Of course, really, it's the perfect topic to start a semester with, but it turns out that it's one of the most difficult topics. So ironically, we're starting with one of the hardest challenges as philosophers and communication scholars and PR people have been arguing about the definitions of propaganda for, a super long time. So here's basically my agenda for this 1 hour that we have together. I want to show you my Mind Over Media website. I hope you got a chance to look at that, but maybe you didn't quite yet, but I want to show that to you and talk with you about that a little bit. We're going to review the class participation activities for next week. And I'm going to introduce the first media project, Leap 1, so that you can get ready to start thinking about that. And then our small group discussion, we're going to take a look at some of the concepts from the readings, and we're going to discuss these two questions. Oh, who's making noise there? So if you can mute your microphone, that would be good right now. Thank you so much. Yeah, mute your microphone. That makes it a little bit easier. We're going to talk about basically how is our understanding of propaganda emerging based on what we're reading, and why is there so much disagreement? Okay, so why don't we just start with the story behind Mind Over Media. In fact, the story behind Mind Over Media is the story of how I came to teach this class. Give me a thumbs up if you can actually see the Mind Over Media page now. Can you see it now? Yeah. 7 years ago, that would have been, wait a second, 10 years ago. Oh, geez, time passed. 10 years ago, I got a really interesting email from the people at the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. And that's in Washington, D.C. It's the museum, it's the federal government agency Museum of the Holocaust. And they were developing a new exhibit called The State of Deception. And they reached out to me to see if they could make the connection between media literacy education, which is my research specialty, and the study of Nazi propaganda. Wow, what a great experience. So for the last 10 years, I've served as a consultant to the Holocaust Museum on their special exhibit called The State of Deception. And that has taken me on a deep dive in thinking a lot about propaganda in the past, the present, and the future. And one of the projects that we worked on was considered a little too dangerous for the museum. And so even though we worked on it, in the end, they handed this project over to me and said, this project is too dangerous for us. And so we don't think we can really implement it. And I was like, oh, well, I'll take it, right? And what it is a crowdsourced gallery of global propaganda. Did I show this to you guys last week? I don't think I did. So what it is oops, hold on there. It's anyone from any place in the world can upload an example of global propaganda. And we'll just take a look at this one right here. It says baby condom. Okay, wow, baby condom. A baby condom looks like a meme, right? And you're asked to rate this. When you go to the website, I've already been here. You're asked to rate this example. Is it beneficial or harmful? And you can see that there's the people who've come to this website. There's a fair amount of controversy about whether this meme is beneficial or harmful propaganda. 17% of the people who've been to this website think it's very beneficial. I said I voted that it was somewhat beneficial, so that's why my 8% there is highlighted. But take a look at the far right-hand side. 51% of the people who came to this website thought it was harmful. Now, the person who uploaded it said, this simplifies the idea of using condoms and having sex to not reproduce. The use of a baby will evoke emotions in the audience. And they say that this technique simplifies ideas. So right now there's no comments yet, so I think I'm going to add one, right? So I am going to use my fictional name, my real email, of course. And I believe that this, it looks like, can you guys read what's on that? Would you, I can't quite read the words that are on the, oh, look what it says. Would you kill him? Would you kill me? Ooh, now that I see those words, I'm even more creeped out by it. So I'm going to write the words, would you kill him, makes me suspicious about this propaganda. Because this seems like it's suggesting that condom use is the same as abortion, which is totally ridiculous, right? So what's really interesting about the website is that there are over 2,500 examples of contemporary propaganda from all over the world. And on some of the examples of propaganda, there's a really robust, like a dialogue. And making this website and maintaining this website, and now we've translated this website into 6 different languages, that's really motivated my interest in finding creative ways to teach about the new forms of propaganda that are out there, like memes, like infographics, like conspiracy theory videos, podcasts, and all of the rest. So I invite you to explore the Mind Over Media website because in some ways it's going to challenge some of our ideas about what propaganda is. And in a way, it'll force us to consider definitions of propaganda in relation to like what is actually being produced in the world today. So, so the Mind Over Media website, I also invite you that if you see examples of propaganda on your Instagram page or in your social media or even on the highway, or like once I had to stop, I was in the Stop and Shop and I saw this guy had a bumper sticker on the back of his car and it was definitely propaganda. And so I just like took a photo with my cell phone and I uploaded it to the website. So I invite you to add propaganda examples to the Mind Over Media website as you find it. And in a way, that is a perfect segue for me to introduce to you the Leap 1 assignment, which isn't due till February 22nd, but it's good for me to introduce it so that you know it's coming and can start thinking about it. The first leap is due on February 22nd. And in this assignment, you select one example of contemporary propaganda from the Mind Over Media website and develop a critical analysis of it using your interpretation of the work as informed by selected concepts from the reading. So first step is find an example of propaganda that interests you. You can find it from the Mind Over Media website, or you can upload an example that you find anywhere to the Mind Over Media website. If you want to use something in your community or something that you've found online that's not on the website, so you can upload anything to the Mind Over Media website if you find it. Then you're going to gather some information about the example that you're choosing, and maybe think through your analysis by considering these critical questions. Who's the author, and what's the structure of the organization that produced this propaganda? What was the context in which this propaganda was produced? What was the purpose of the propaganda? Who's the target audience? What production techniques are used to attract and hold attention? What persuasive strategies are used? What lifestyles and values and points of view are represented? How might different people interpret the message differently? What's omitted? And who might see this propaganda as beneficial? And for whom might it be harmful? You know, that's a really interesting and important, that's a really important aspect to think about, because propaganda wouldn't get created if somebody didn't think it was beneficial, right? So when we think about that issue of whether propaganda can be beneficial or harmful, we always want to ask, well, like who, from whom, according to whom, right? So as you're doing your analysis, you're going to make some connection to the course reading. You're going to try to find some ideas from the readings that deepen your interpretation or support your analysis. And you definitely want to make sure that you use at least one concept from the reading. But now it comes time where you can produce your Leap 1. And for this project, you have two choices. You can compose a blog post using the conventions of an academic blog post entry, or you can compose a short video, and you can use any medium to produce that. Right now, if you're a beginner at video production, using the free Adobe Spark platform is a really great way, because it's so simple and easy to use, but you could use any editing tool of your choice. So then you're going to create an analysis either as a blog post or as a short video, and then you're going to compose and share that, right? As you create your Leap 1 critical analysis, you should consider your target audience as members of this class, plus other college-educated young adults with an interest in the subject matter of your propaganda example. So if you pick a PETA example, circus animals, circuses should be banned, says PETA, right? Circuses are bad, zoos are terrible, right? Then your target audience is going to be college-educated adults who are also interested in animal rights, right? So the work is due on February 22nd at midnight, and since that work is going to be on your blog, you're going to post a link using your Twitter account and the 416 hashtag. You can see the 4 criteria that I'm going to use to grade these creative works. This is worth about 15% of the class grade. What questions do you have about this assignment? And think that you're asking questions on behalf of all the other kids in the class who are not here. So any question is a good one. What questions do you have?
I have a question.
Yeah.
For the blog post, you said do an academic blog post. Do you have an example of what that should look like?
I do. I have an example. In fact, if you use the hashtag COM416, you would find dozens and dozens of them. But I thought that you guys might want to see examples that that are kind of interesting. I put 3 examples. I'll show you right here. I put 3 examples on the PathWrite for you to look at. And I'll show you where they are right now. Let's see. We'll load up the PathWrite. Loading, loading, loading. Loading, loading, loading. Loading a little slow because, of course, of this video. This video itself is taking up a lot of memory. So let's see. Right here, you're going to see the same content that you just saw on the website, except at the bottom of the page. Oops. Yeah, once the page loads, at the bottom of the page, examples of previous student work. Candace Mason did the Super Bowl ad, Born the Hard Way. Remember that? The immigrant Budweiser ad. Kristen Beatty did Who Knew, which was the HPV campaign. And Madison Ferreira did Man in the Mirror. So those are 3 examples. I'm glad you asked about that because I would have forgotten to show you those if you hadn't asked. Thank you. What other questions do you have?
If you were to make a video, how long would it have to be?
Great question. It has to be short, right? So 5 minutes is about as long as a video can be, right? Without boring me to death, right? And so if you speak at about 150 words a minute, 5 minutes, that's about 750 or maybe at the most 1,000 words. And by the way, that's about how long your blog post should be, because if you can't do it any shorter than that and do it well, right? So about 1,000 words, that should do it. That's about the equivalent of a 4-page paper. That's not that bad. Now, there's one thing I wanted to ask you. Did you notice how it said that if you did a blog post, so if you do a video, it should look like a video, and it should have a combination of moving images and voiceover and maybe examples, visual examples of the propaganda that you're analyzing, right? That makes sense. It should have an introduction and a conclusion, right? If you're making an academic blog post, what are the conventions that an academic blog post has? Like, what does it look like? Or what are some features that you usually find in an academic blog post? It's not the same as a paper, like a Word document, right? It's not a Word document. What are the features of an academic blog post?
Is there sources?
Definitely is. There's a list of sources. Often there are hyperlinks, right? Mm-hmm. Hyperlinks that link specific words in your text to other material that you found. So there's definitely sources at the bottom, and often there are hyperlinks. Good. There's one more feature of an academic blog post, 2 more features of an academic blog post. What do they usually have? So citations and hyperlinks, but they also have subheads. Do you guys know what subheads are? Give me a thumbs up if you know what a subhead is. Subhead is a short phrase, usually in a different font, usually in a different color, and it gets your attention and it shows you the internal structure. So subheads for internal structure, and of course, academic blog posts use images, right? So those are the conventions that you would expect to, when you produce if you produce an academic blog post, those would be the conventions that we would expect. Do you have any other questions about Leap 1?
What website would you use for the blog post?
Oh, great question. So glad you asked that. Now, hold on just a second here. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go back here. So many of you have already created your blog web page for this class. Everyone needs to make a blog for this class. And those of you who are on this already, I think Hannah and Olivia, I think I've seen, and Harrison, I think maybe I've seen yours as well. So every student in this class makes a blog and sends me the URL. And when you send me the URL in my URI email, I then link it. So Anthony, there you are, buddy, right? Anthony's website. Doesn't have much on it yet, but there it is. And Anthony, what tool did you use to create your website?
So for my leadership minor, I had to make like Wix website, but they told us like if you have any other classes that like pertain to that, you just add like another site.
Exactly. So you're using your Wix site, and Hannah, right?
Yep, I'm using the same thing. I had an internship last semester, so I already had a website all made.
Sweet. Okay. And did you also use Wix, it looks like?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, Wix is super easy, and the templates are gorgeous. And so, Olivia, what did you do with yours? What website did you use to make it?
I use Wix too.
Beautiful. So on this website, I'm going to be able to find your Leap 1, your Leap 2, and your Leap 3, right? So now if you make a video, you'll embed your video onto your blog, right? So that's how I'll find it. What other questions do you have about the Leap assignments? Okay, so maybe we can go to our next activity then. So I guess I'll go back to the main page here. Maybe I'll go back to propaganda 2019.com. One of the things that I want to do is talk a little bit about those complicated and pesky definitions, right? So I have a little small group activity for us to do. And I want to introduce you to a study sheet that should be helpful for you for the readings that we did this week. Small group discussion, review of concepts from the readings. Okay, so when you click on this link, you're going to be asked to make a copy of this is like a notes page. You know, one of the things that I do to support my own active reading is, I'm going to just make this a little bit smaller, is that as I work through a reading, I try to identify the phrases and ideas that like just catch my attention, that are interesting to me. And so what I'm going to do is ask you and a partner, or maybe in a small group of 3, to like just read through this list and see what these ideas mean to you. You know, the assignments for this week aren't due till Friday, so you might not have moved through both of these documents, but you probably have made some progress, and you probably have some ideas about these important phrases and concepts. So right now I'm going to break you out into a couple of small groups, and I'm going to ask you to open up this page, the study notes for week 1, and I'm going to ask you and your partner to like select a couple of these topics that are interesting to you, or that you have questions about, or that you think you know something about, right? Because then that will create a little fun conversation, and then we'll come back and see what we can share. All right, give me a thumbs up if you understand what we're going to be doing now. Okay, it's just a couple of small groups, 2 rooms, a couple of us in each room. So I'm just going to take about 4 or 5 minutes on this. Ooh, sorry, I did something wrong. Oh no! Oh shit, I screwed it up. Okay, I goofed that up, so let me try that again. I accidentally closed the breakout rooms too quickly. Oh darn. All right, well, hey.
Where do we find the link
Hold
for
on.
this?
Right now, I'm kind of stuck in limbo land because I accidentally, you know, it's like your finger slipped. It's late at night, right? I slipped my finger, so you're just going to have to wait for me in about 17 seconds. I'll be able to re-invite you. All right. So these people are talking, and now they're going to get kicked out of the room, which isn't going to feel great. But what are you going to do? All right. Okay, so now I'm going to open those rooms again. And Anna, I'm going to assign you to breakout room 2. Okay, so you should now be joining that room. Wonderful.